Yes. And so, real quick, I'll just kind of kick things off. Welcome, everyone. Really excited to be having our first informational meeting for our second international trip with EF Go Ahead Tours. And so, we returned, a large group of us got back from Italy in May. And based coming off the excitement of that, we're all ready to start promoting our next trip in spring of 2027. And so, we've got Josh and Morgan here with EF Go Ahead Tours here today. And so I'm going to turn it over to you guys and let y'all tell us what to expect.
All right. Well, thanks, Josh. Hello, everyone. Uh, and hello to Doug. I remember Doug from both of our previous meetings before. I'm excited to see you again. And Josh was hyping up your photo skills on the
Gosh.
trip. So I want to hear all about that as well. But no, very excited. Thank you, everybody, for joining. As Josh said, my name is also Josh, and I'm joined here by our account manager, Morgan Schneider. And we are here to talk about our next trip, which is Ireland. The Traditions of the Emerald Isle with OLLI, Arkansas. This trip is traveling May 17th to the 27th of 2027, and does also have that optional extension to extend on to Northern Ireland if you so choose to add it. And let's go ahead and no time like the present to jump into it. Again, I love hearing some voices from folks who were here before we started the meeting that sounds like they heard the positive momentum. Of course, one thing to know about Morgan and I is we are lucky enough to do essentially exclusive OLLI travel across the country. So Arkansas is one of the 25 OLLIs that we are currently working with.
Hmm.
We appreciate Josh because he was one of the first, I think, 7 or 8 when we first started a couple of years ago, which seems like both yesterday and a lifetime ago. But with that, and again, we're very, of course, always thrilled to hear all the positive responses from the Italy trip. And I know even when members were on that trip, they were already kind of chewing Josh's ear about where we're going next. What's the plan? So we wanted to source those opinions and get thoughts out there, which is how we came to Ireland. So today the meeting but if you are new to us, we want to make sure you're familiar with Go Ahead and who the company Morgan and I represent. We want to talk about this great trip. Of course, the itinerary, the optionals, the extension, all of those different things. Talk about tours and pricing and great discounts, both for our folks returning, but also if you've never done a trip, we want to make sure you get a great discount as well. And then at the end, plenty of time for questions. So we are in a Zoom forum. So if a question pops into your mind, feel free to pop it into the chat. Just know that at the end of the session, we will come back. We'll cover any questions from the chat. And if you just want to hang out and wait and just hop off mute at that point, that's welcome as well. The only thing we ask is just let us get through our presentation because, again, we will hang out here as long as needed to talk as a group once the presentation has reached the end. All right. I mentioned before, usually this is a little bit more of a standard video, but Ireland is one of EF's top destinations. I've been on a trip to Ireland before, so I can speak from experience with Go Ahead, but want to share a quick little video with the group before we get into the rest of the meeting.
I'm going to give you an Irish welcome, and it goes like this. Keed me the Fátar of Give Galair. 100,000 welcomes to all of you.
Those videos are always designed, of course, to give you a sneak peek of what life looks like on tour. And the concept I always want you to take away from those little clips is when you travel with us, it should always be super fun, and it should also be really easy. And we'll talk a little bit about that. And again, maybe at the end, even hear some shared experiences if we've got any alumni from Italy to hopefully verify that that was their experience as well. But before we jump into that, just know that Morgan and I represent Go Ahead Tours, which is the adult tour division of EF, which stands for Education First. One of the many reasons I think that OLLI Travel and Go Ahead are such a great marriage, for lack of a better term, is just the fact that we're not, Margaret and I aren't travel agents. We specifically represent an educational travel company. And well, what's the difference? It means that not only is our company able to do the logistics like any travel provider should be able to do, but I think when you look at our specific itineraries and the trips we offer, we are only going to be offering educational experiences. So with lifelong learners, we know that the joy of always learning is such a, embedded in everything y'all do. It's just really nice to know that what we can do is provide, kind of build off that through and integrate travel. But in addition to our travel department, we also, actually got our start in education ourselves. We are a language learning school first before the travel started over 60 years ago. And if you actually look at those little blue dots there on the map, those are places EF has physical offices and employees all across the world, with an office in Dublin as well. One of the places this trip travels. The reason we show that is just, I think, the peace of mind knowing that when you travel with EF, you're truly traveling with a global company, and we got your back no matter where you are. In addition to language learning and travel, we also have culture exchange programs, which allow students from international locations to live with host families here in the States. And plus, we are an academic accredited institution as well, with the Halt School, with campuses in Boston, London, and Dubai. Why travel matters. Again, I won't put Doug on the spot and say I bet travel matters because he likes taking pictures. But point is, the answer is there's no wrong answer. This is a subjective question. Why travel matters to me? I usually answer something wrong with my stomach. I want to go all the places and eat all the great food. We mentioned before, of course, the educational component. I just think this is a fun question to ponder while you're considering this trip or any trip. Why does travel matter to you? And hopefully there's a lot of alignment with what this trip's going to offer, with why you would be excited to potentially go to Ireland for the first or maybe return visit. All right. So I mentioned before we watched that video, the concept I always want my potential travelers to take away is when you travel with Go Ahead, it should be fun and it should be easy. The reason it's easy is because travel is nuanced. There's a lot of planning that goes into it. There's a lot of reservations you got to make. If you got a bigger group, it only makes that task larger. So if you can work with a company who specializes in doing all those things, you can really just sign up and enjoy the trip. I think besides you as the traveler, the most important person on any Go Ahead trip is your tour director. Your tour director is the individual who's with you from the time you touch down until the time you go home. And they are handling all the stuff that you don't have to. So they are checking us into hotels. If we're going out to eat, they're handling the reservations. When we're going to cultural sites that require ticketing, they're doing all that for us so the group can show up and just enjoy. That woman in the lower left-hand corner there is Maria. She was my tour director from 2 trips ago when I actually traveled with the University of Kentucky's OLLI to Greece. I took that picture all of 2 minutes after meeting her. That is her at the airport picking the group up. I just think, it kind of shows that point of that they are there. Things about your tour directors. They're going to be fluent in the language. So of course, with our past trip, our tour director, she spoke both Italian and English. So we always had someone with us doing that. In Ireland, a little easier because, of course, English is the primary language spoken. You will see as this trip makes its way to the western edge that there are some individuals in Ireland who still primarily speak Irish. I thought it was Gaelic, but you'll learn on this trip that it actually is Irish is the language. But your tour director is going to be an expert in any place you're going. Anytime we're building in free time, of course, and you need suggestions for where to go to get a bite to eat, or, if there's just a free afternoon, what's something that this tour is not doing that you recommend for us to check out and kind of consider. Though those folks are great experts to have with you, and you always have one on our tours. In addition to your tour director, of course, with the focus of the trip being educational, we build in local guides. So these are individuals who are going to be guiding like those daily, the guided sightseeing experiences you might have that might just be for part of a day or half a day, or for taking a little bit of a longer day trip out to visit someplace outside some of the cities we're visiting. Those folks are experts specifically in that location, in that history. It can differ, but they are there in addition to your tour director to really, of course, lean into the educational benefits of the tour. I mentioned before, I'm a food traveler, so knowing that we're always prioritizing the group getting access to great food, local food. I'm not going to lie, I went to my Irish tour with pretty low expectations. It's Ireland. They're not known for food. Hopefully they have something edible for me. I was happily wrong with that assumption. There was great food beyond just the fish and chips, but again, plenty of those if you like that. And other thing to know about food is we know there's always folks that might have allergies. You might have intolerances to things like gluten. Know that you have a spot to put in your health notes with Go Ahead. Really easy place to make sure that even if you've got that as maybe one additional thing to deal with when eating, we got you covered. We've been on, Margaret and I can both speak from experience of sometimes the food that people who are vegetarians and vegans get look better than what we got as the main group. So we make sure they bring a little extra out so we can share with everybody. So know that you're covered with food with us as well. Thinking more logistically, we want to give everyone options, which back to making it easy. One option that we can include into your order is Go Ahead doing your flights for you. Does two things. One, it takes the stress of having to book off your plate. Also, when you normally would buy a flight, you'd have to pay for that all up front. Where if you rolled into your order, you can chunk it out along with the cost of your tour as a whole. But no, we know that not everybody wants to do that. Some people are particular and want to do flights on their own. That's why we make flights optional, not required. And then last but definitely not least, we talk about this trip being balanced. And even more after our last trip, we put even more emphasis in looking to in the itinerary to make sure that we've got plenty of time to explore, but we've also got plenty of time to kind of recharge our batteries. When we're doing that, we want to make sure we're doing it in a great, comfortable place, which is why Go Ahead always prioritizes 4-star quality hotels that are, we call them strategically located, meaning they're going to be places that if you have free time, you don't have to worry about needing to take a taxi to get into town. You can walk to a cafe, you can walk to a restaurant, you can just go stretch your legs and kind of see the sites that are close to where you're staying. And so, yeah, just knowing that we never sacrifice on that. That's always going to be the standard. And I think it's important to know that again, you know that you're getting what you pay for, which is a high quality hotel. All right. So OLLI Travel with Go Ahead. I shot Josh a text message last minute. So not all of these, but we made sure to include some friendly faces in these pictures here. Again, we see our friend with the camera. I keep referencing him in there in the lower right-hand corner. I also sprung in a couple personal photos I had this past, I think actually the day before you all left, I was on my own OLLI trip with the OLLI from Colorado State. Morgan and I both live up in Denver, which is why you see the Lisbon sign there in the middle. But always fun to see, again, I'm selfishly happy because my collection of OLLI photos continues to grow. I could make 7 slides of them for all the stuff we've had just from the last 6 months alone. But great to see the Arkansas group here having an amazing time in Italy. Josh, anything you want to share from your experience before I hop into our Ireland tour?
I mean, I could spend a long time talking about our experience. No, it was great. I can just see right now we need to take an OLLI flag next time. When we went to Rome, we had signs, but we didn't bring anything this time. So we're gonna have to bring that to Ireland. But no, just going back to the slide before this in terms of um, it is just very well coordinated. The tour director, ours in Italy was amazing, Alessandra, and it was really kind of eye-opening to me, just the whole layers of what EF Go Ahead does in terms of, as Josh said, like they're not the travel folks, and so like it's just a whole different layer, and it's very well organized. And so I just thought it was really great how much we like our tour director, but then also the local guides were very high top notch. I mean, they really knew their stuff and were very well versed in things. And so I thought all that was really great. So I don't know. I'm rambling. I told you I could be here for days talking about it.
No, it's good. I appreciate that. I'm gonna guess again, if I'm looking at these pictures, was that woman there in the lower left-hand corner in the black and white dress? Was that your local guide? She gives me all the impressions of being a local guide.
Yeah,
So
she's local guide. Yes.
yes. So one thing about those local guides is someone who's usually from that town, that region. When I was just with the Colorado State folks, we went to both Lisbon, Sevilla, and Madrid. And when we were in Spain, all of our local guides were like from that town and telling us like this is their 5th generation and my great grandparents and all things like that. So I do think when you think about the quality of people that we're staffing on the tour, it's very purposeful, and we are going to make sure again we make sure our travelers really have that unique experience, which isn't always the case when you travel abroad, but when you travel with Go Ahead, we make sure it is. All right, let's talk about our trip. So mentioned before, this trip is similar to our Italy trip where you have what's called a main tour and then an extension. So our main tour is what you see there with the different lines there all in black. And then our optional extension, which goes to Northern Ireland, is the dotted gray line that I guess gets a little cut off there at the top. I tried to be creative with my PowerPoint design here. But if you see here, and we'll do a little bit more of an in-depth look, the places you see on the map with a black dot with a white dot in between, those are places we're physically going to be staying and like having an overnight in a hotel. Whereas those singular black dots are places that we're doing day trips along the way. So this trip is going to start and end in Dublin if you're doing the main trip, where of course, if you do the extension, you'd fly out of Belfast. But starting in Dublin, making your way down to County Cork, and then over to County Kerry, and then up to County Galway by ways of the Cliffs of Moher, and then looping back around. Mentioned before, these dates are locked in, so you know that if you are traveling, it's just under a year away, so May 17th to the 27th, and then that extension May 27th to the 29th. All right, so tour activity level. This is another thing I think that we took into consideration after our last tour. So we did know that, again, I know people are already talking about it. We love to hear that there was such positive and overwhelmingly positive reviews, but we always still want to know, hey, we want to hear the good things we do. We also want to know if there's anything you would change for future tours. So one of the feedback or some pieces of feedback we got from our Italy travelers is, hey, we love it, but we felt a little rushed at times. So if we could slow it down a little bit, that would be appreciated. So we went, and where our Italy tour was rated as a high level activity, we went and we found a moderate activity. So a little bit of a similar day pattern with a couple days in each location, but we took one and we slowed it down a little bit. So I think the other thing to know about tour activity level, especially on a private tour like this, because this tour, of course, is only opening up spots to OLLI Arkansas members, is in addition to it just being our community traveling together, you should feel as the traveler that if you're having a day where it's just you're feeling like it's going a little fast, or you just kind of want to take it a little slower, we encourage you to advocate for yourself. Not only, of course, can you talk to Josh if he's on the tour, your tour director. These folks are used to these type of requests. I think the biggest thing I want my travelers to know is you are never being a burden. This is a normal thing that happens all the time. And the tours, again, back to the way that they're specifically designed, they are designed to be able to accommodate those kind of things. So please know that, again, my definition of moderate and Go Ahead's definition might even be a little different than yours. So if you are ever feeling rushed, know that you are not causing any problems by saying, hey, can I maybe sit this one out? Can you give me something else to do while the group come back around while I grab a coffee? Just kind of enjoy the city square here. For doing things like walking tours, I always want to make sure my travelers are empowered to do so.
Josh, I just want to add to that in Italy, the Ollie our tour director was very accommodating to the point of if somebody to call a cab for somebody, or to pull out a map and show them how to get there, or to even uh, leave us at one point when she knows we were going to be set at one spot and veer off and go grab somebody who needed to take a break. Very accommodating. So I just want to just say thanks for that's very nice, but also that we appreciate just naturally slowing down the itinerary a little bit, I think will be helpful. So thank you.
Of course, absolutely. And that's a great, I had a similar example where on my first night of, I think we went, there we go. Thank you. On our first night of my OLLI tour when we started in Lisbon, there was a woman who, her and her husband were there on the tour, and she had actually been 6 months recovered from hip surgery, and she was wise. She put that in the note. So our tour director knew. He was ready to, of course, be accommodating with things like, well, it was a very short walk, but he was going to call her a cab. I laugh about this because she scoffed at him and said, you don't think I've been training for 6 months to be ready for this? I got my husband, we're ready to go, we're walking. So she didn't need any cabs on that trip, but I think she pulled me aside later to let me know, hey, I don't want to, again, it was all very joking, but she's like, it meant a lot to know that Go Ahead was willing to do that at no additional cost to cover us. But again, as a group, us being from Colorado, we're like, we'll tell this tour director we're training at elevation over here. We got this covered. But know that you always got that support if you need it. So taking a look here at inclusions, we're talking about the main tour itself. So of course, if you add the extension on, it would be in addition to this. But 9 nights in those hand-picked 4-star hotels, breakfast every day. I remember our pre-departure meeting, which is the meeting Morgan and I host right before the tour gets on the road. I think I asked because we could see, I think people were gathering in person for it, or how many first-time travelers there were. But I love because almost half the room put their hand up. So selfishly, again, as someone who gets to support OLLI travel, I love when seeing folks. I mean, my dad's not a big traveler either. I'm going to get him to Italy one day. But point is, I love when it's first time traveler. And if it's you're considering doing this and you've never maybe been to Europe before, the reason I bring it up now is they do breakfast a little different than they do here in terms of there's a little bit more of a spread. There's a lot of food. So if you're the type who likes to make sure you start your day well fed, know that you're not going to need to go run to the corner store to get anything. Like they're going to get you covered on any time doing a European kind of continental breakfast. So that's included with your trip every day at the hotel. 4 additional dinners with beer or wine. 7 sightseeing tours with those local guides who again are going to really lean into their expertise. 1 additional liquor tasting. You are in Ireland, so very much known for, of course, things like Irish whiskey. Expert tour director, and of course that private deluxe motor coach. I think it's important to know that this is a private tour we mentioned before. I don't think it's the make or break reason, but I think a benefit of having the private tour is, we're going to be doing sightseeing. You might be picking up souvenirs along the way. We are never sharing our bus with strangers or other groups. And the reason I think that's nice is just if you pick up a couple souvenirs for friends and family and we're doing anything else, you can leave it on the bus. You're good. The bus driver is always with it, keeping it safe. It's there when we're kind of popping around, and it'll be there waiting for us when we get back to the hotel. All right, continuing on. We're going to do a brief overview of the trip itself. After this, I'm going to give Josh an email to send out, which will outline a couple things. It'll give you access to the individual website for the trip. So if you want to go back and really kind of deep dive the itinerary, we're going to give you of course, the ability to do that as well. I just want to do a kind of a gentle walkthrough of everything it's going to cover. And of course, during Q&A, if you need me to, I'm happy to come back if we need to go back and look at any of the days. But day 1, this is your overnight flight. So knowing that you're leaving, of course, anticipate when flying from Arkansas, at least 1 connection. I think with our flight to Italy, a lot of folks connected through Atlanta, and I forget maybe 1 other place, but kind of want to make sure set that expectation, whether you're doing flights with us or not. With day 1 being a travel day, day 2 is when you're officially kind of getting on the ground in Ireland. One nice thing about Ireland is it's a little bit closer west in Europe than even like our trip to Italy. So, it's going to be a little bit of a shorter flight. You're going to get there potentially a little earlier. When I did my flight from Denver to Ireland for my go-ahead trip, I think I was there sometime around 10, 11 o'clock in the morning. But we also know everybody's body's acclimated a little different on that day. So we want to make sure we're not action packing day 2 because we want you to start off with plenty of rest, plenty of acclimation time, which is why the only real activity on day 2 in any go-ahead tour is going to be you get a little free time, and then you get to meet with your tour director, and we have a welcome dinner. This is when, the tour director is going to tell you things about how they're going to communicate daily activities. I think it's good to know, the day before, you'll always know what's the weather going to be like tomorrow? What activities are we doing? What time do I have to be at breakfast? What time do we need to be on the bus? If there's a transportation day and we're leaving our hotel to go to another, what time do I need to have my bag outside my door? Because built into your package is porterage at the hotel. So, you can leave your suitcase outside the door. Someone will come down and bring it and load it onto the bus for you so you don't have to. Day 3, I've done this on my tour. It's traditional sightseeing of Dublin. When thinking about sightseeing with Go Ahead, back to that concept of balance and not wanting to overtax people while they're traveling. Traditional sightseeing will take place sometime mid-morning. So I think we're probably leaving the hotel 8:30, 9 o'clock. And then this is a combination driving tour. Plus, we're getting off at a lot of places to go actually physically, visit. I always say our goal is to get you off the bus, experiencing the culture and places you're visiting. So this will go until about, at 1 o'clock. So around time to break for lunch. So know that this will also end right around the why am I blanking? Like by the Book of Kells area in Dublin. So I do know some folks like to use their free afternoon if they opt for it on day 3 to book tickets for that, because that specific activity is not built into our sightseeing. But you get to go see Phoenix Park, which is outside the presidential residence. You actually got to go inside of St. Patrick's Cathedral, which is that picture you see there on the upper right-hand side. When you're doing traditional sightseeing with us, we call them the whispers, where you have one little headphone in your ear, which allows you to still hear what's going on outside, but your local guide will have a microphone on them, so they are going to be, constantly explaining, talking about the history of the places we're visiting. So you don't have to stand right next to them, and we're in a church, so we're whispering. So they can talk, you can wander, take some pictures, see the beauty of places like St. Patrick's while you're there. Also go past St. Stephen's Green, and again, get to end on Trinity College, so you can walk around the college grounds. Day 3, you see there highlighted in yellow where it says Glenendow. Day 3 has one of the few optional excursions. So we design these tours where you should be able to just do the base tour and it should be great and super enjoyable. But we always know some folks are looking to do a little extra, which is why you see on certain days we will build in optional excursions. So Glenendow is not built into your tour. It's about a 40-minute drive outside of Dublin. There's some rich history, in the, I think, like early religious history. It's got a great grounds to kind of walk around. But that is something you can add on to your order. But also, if you don't want to do it, no pressure. You could then have that full afternoon on day 3 to enjoy Dublin, to do as you please. I think this is another day where, back to suggestions, if anybody wants to go visit like the Guinness storefront, which is of course like kind of like the world famous like Guinness, it's both factory but also like gives the history of Guinness. It's a really unique opportunity. That could be something, if you don't go to Glenendow, that you do independently on day 3. But back to balance, if you just want to go back to the hotel and relax, that's why it's a free day or a free afternoon as well. Continuing on, day 4, this is we're going to be a transportation day in the morning, so making our way from Guinness toward County Cork. But we are, of course, you saw on that original map, we don't, even when we have to drive, we like to break those drives up into visits. So we are never spending that much time on the bus. On my trip to Ireland, I don't think I was ever in the bus for more than 2 hours, because it was always, again, these visits. Again, we want to stop and see the things along the way, which is why day 4, on the way to Cork, you go to Kilkenny Castle and visit the Rock of Cashel. So that's, again, super, I think, very famous, again, 12th century castles. We're talking about really leaning into that old Irish history. And then making your way down for a dinner included that night, which is nice because I think it's our first night in a new location. One less thing to have to worry about doing with the group is figuring out independent dinner reservation. So another thing your tour director is going to take care of for you. Day 5, we saw in that video originally those folks leaning backwards to kiss the Blarney Stone. You're going to visit Blarney Castle. The Blarney Stone is at the top of that castle there. Back to folks, again, who might have some concerns around stairs or walkability. You do have some assistance when you're making your way up the castle. There's ropes, but there's nothing, of course, like an elevator to take you to the top. I will also say, from my experience there's beautiful grounds if you just want to keep it on the floor. I think it's one of the ones where there will be help and assistance, of course, with you if you want to make the hike up, both on, again, using the ropes to walk up the stairs on the edge. And then also, if you do want to do the quintessential lean backwards and kiss the stone and get the gift of gab, there are people there who help and assist with that. So you're not on your own, because it is literally just a rock on top of a castle. So all that, really great day, enjoying that specific part of the country. So continuing on, this is actually, I've built many of tours to Ireland. I'm jealous because this was not something that the trip I did got to do, but this next 2 days takes us to County Kerry, which is more in the southwest corner of Ireland. I think it's really known for, I think, the landscapes. Of course, on day 7, you see there, you actually go and visit Killarney National Park. Morgan and I have a group in there, a group from Denver in Ireland right now. And the whole reason they picked their trip to Ireland was to be able to go see this national park. I think they're a little more of an active group. They want to go build in hiking and things like that. But this is a really unique way to see that southeast or southwest corner of Ireland, which also, if you've ever heard the Ring of Kerry, which is a famous drive people do, you will be doing that drive on day 6 and 7 as well. All right, making our way up the western coast of Ireland on our way to Galway. I think when you think about some of the biggest motivations to go to Ireland, I think it's the opportunity to see the Cliffs of Moher, which you see there on the right-hand side. Great, again, beautiful scenery. I think this is one of those places we're going to be stopping along the way. There's a place to eat lunch. There's actually a whole museum carved out of the side of the cliffs, that right where close to where you park the bus. But of course, plenty of opportunities to wander along the paths that are on the cliffs. They kind of drop you right in the middle, so you can go north, you can go south. You've got, I think, a good 2+ hours there to kind of really check it out, take your photos, and of course, again, enjoy lunch while you're there, which is a great way. It breaks up that drive. I selfishly, of all the cities in Ireland, love Galway the most. I think when I thought about going to Ireland, I really wanted to have the quintessential Irish experience, go to a pub, see people play music, just make friends with locals. That was what I did in Galway. With tour director suggestion, just kind of wandered. Again, it's a very walkable town, and just found a place where you could hear the music from about 3 blocks away. And I've got some funny stories of interacting with locals, but that to me was my quintessential Irish experience, which you can do either on the evening of day 8, or you can opt into day 9 as a full free day. Back to that, again, we keep talking about this concept of balance. Day 9 is a day where if you just, again, want to recharge your batteries, that's why we built it in that way. But if you are the type who says, no, I mean, the rest of this group can rest, but I want to go do some activities and see some things that we can't normally see, that is why you see on day 9, there's another one of those optional excursions built in, which is actually a visit to the Aran Islands. This is a little bit longer. This is more of like I think it's an 8 or 9 hour, because you have to get on a boat, you have to go out there. But the Aran Islands is a very unique, it's off the western coast of Ireland. If you ever know anyone who's gotten an Irish sweater with that really thick Irish wool, you'll be able to buy them in Galway if you don't want to go to the Aran Islands, but also, and all over in Ireland. But if you actually kind of want to go see where they're sourcing that wool from, you can see why it has to be so hardy, because an island in the middle of the sea, you have to have a certain stock to make it out there. So really cool way to visit the Aran Islands on day 9 if you so opt to. All right. So day 10, if you're doing the base tour, this would be our final night on tour. So we make our way from Galway back across the country. Ireland's not a very big country, so it doesn't take all day to get back to Dublin. But we do break that drive up. I mentioned before, there's one included liquor tasting where we'll be stopping at the Teeling Whiskey Distillery as we make our way back to Dublin, and also, of course, have a final farewell dinner built in so the group can share information and share photos, and of course have one final meal together as a group. And then this is where you have the choice when it comes to the extension. If you prefer to go home, the trip is designed, you're in Dublin, you would make your way back home on day 11. Or if you want to continue on, and really, I think this is popular for our history buffs who want to go and think about of course, the rich history between Northern Ireland and Southern, or I guess traditional Ireland, and make your way to Belfast. So if you're continuing on the extension, day 11 is a traditional sightseeing tour of Belfast. So this is where you're going to be with another one of those local guides, really getting to see the capital of Northern Ireland. And then day 12, this is your final full day on the extension tour, because the extension is just those 2 days, where back to that balance concept. If you want to just enjoy Belfast and experience it on your own, day 12 would be the day to do so. Or the final optional excursion is you can build in Giant's Causeway, which is that picture you see there on the right-hand side. And with day 13, we would make our way home. One additional fun fact about day 11 is you actually get to visit the Titanic Museum, which I think, again, a different type of history, but with of course, like the history of the Titanic, but also just talking about more, you learn a lot on this trip about Irish immigration. The United States had such an influx of Irish immigrants back in the 19th and early 20th century. So I think being close to the water gives you some unique perspective on that as well. Mentioned before, there's the 3 optional excursions. Key word optional. It means first thing to know is when you sign up for the tour, you absolutely do not have to decide if you want to do them yet. Plenty of people add them on 3 months from now, 6 months from now. You will get some gentle communication from Go Ahead reminding you that they are there as an option, but Don't want anyone to feel pressured. If you don't want to do them, don't sign up for them. Again, 3 different experiences: Glendalough day 3, the Aran Island visit day 9, and the Giants Causeway visit day 12. And that's of course only available if you do the extension. You will see the phrase from 160 from 65, one from 129. The reason that we put that language in is because they are actually available to, if you have last minute FOMO and you want to add them even while you're on tour, your tour director will give you the option to do so. But if you wait to add it on tour, it's $10 extra. So I would say if you think you're going to do it, save yourself the $10 and add them before you leave. But that is why it says from. All right. I will kick it over to Morgan. She's going to talk a little bit about your travel coverage options.
Hello, my name's Morgan, and I'm the account manager that works with all of our OLLI groups alongside Josh. I'm the one that makes sure we have your passport information, your health notes, dietary notes, and can provide information about the travel coverage and flight process. Josh gets to talk about all the fun stuff, but this is also really important to consider. No one likes to think about an emergency happening, an unexpected thing happening, paying for insurance, the cost of insurance. I don't like to think about those either, but it is important because unexpected things can come up, and it's something that Josh and I see frequently, and it makes us feel a lot better when we know that the people we work with have some sort of coverage, either through us or something independent. So the travel coverage and flights, both optional but recommended. With Go Ahead, there are 2 different types of travel protection you could choose to add to your reservation, the basic or the total. It's going to cover all the same things, just to different amounts. So if your flight is canceled and you miss the first day of the tour, you can submit to the insurance to receive the value, the funds for that first day that you had to miss. Airline loses your luggage and you need to buy a whole new set of clothes, that would be covered. The airline again cancels your flight and now you need to get a hotel room. They're not just readily passing out hotel rooms and food vouchers like they used to. This would help cover that expense. And then a big one is accident or sickness prior and on the trip. So I was on a trip, I was in northern Spain. A woman tripped and fell. She was worried she broke her wrist, but she didn't want to go visit a doctor because she, like many medical insurances, knew that hers didn't cover her abroad. I took a look at her reservation. I said, you have the travel coverage, any expense associated with this, you will receive that money back for your peace of mind and to make sure your arm doesn't get further injured. Let's go to a quick care and have it x-rayed. Luckily, it was not broken, but it helped her make the decision and made the rest of the trip smoother by her knowing it was going to be okay as long as she iced it, rested it, and she didn't have to worry about that extra expense because she had the travel coverage. If you add the total trip protection, it's going to come with 2 additional things. It's going to come with a pre-existing condition waiver. So if there's anything you've talked to a doctor about before the trip that could come up before or while traveling, I would recommend having that. And then something called any reason protection. This is helpful for when you want to cancel the trip for a non-insured reason. So think a wedding gets planned, a family member has a baby sooner than expected, you want to stay home and be with them. Your dog becomes ill, your cat becomes ill, you don't want to go on the trip, but that wouldn't be covered by the trip protection. Here you can cancel instead of losing the cancellation costs, you can receive it back for a future trip. All the other examples that I went over, in those scenarios, you would submit to get the actual funds back.
I will say the travel insurance comes in very handy. Like part of the itinerary, you guys saw the one liquor tasting
Hmm.
comes in very handy around those times. Like when we did the wine tasting in Italy, they sample a lot. So it's good to be
Ooh.
protected in those moments.
Yes. Yes.
We love a double, triple protection. Also, I think for our Ollie travelers, I know one that was shared with us is as an additional benefit because of course this is optional. We encourage you to have at least some coverage, whether it's with us or not. I think over 90% of our travelers do opt into this coverage, which I think is very telling. And in addition to the coverage itself, one additional bonus is especially in the Ollie world, is that there's no age escalator. So you're not going to get on the phone and say, well, actually, oh, you happen to be 75. Well, it's going to double in price. That's never going to happen. This is always going to be a stagnant, flat price, which I think when you actually do competitive shopping, not only is it easier to bundle it with us, it's cheaper. So if I could save, why not? So sorry,
Yeah.
Morgan, let's get back in.
Yeah. And then the second thing is the flight package. So if you just want to think about the pictures you're going to take, the food you're going to eat, the experiences you're going to have, you don't want to handle any of the details yourself, then I would recommend adding the go ahead flights. Anyone that's leaving from the same airport, we would work to have you all on the same flight. If you're living in a different area or you have a friend that wants to join, no problem. We can accommodate flights from different airports. We would know your itinerary. So, should there be any itinerary changes or schedule changes in the months leading up to the trip, it would be our team that would put eyes on that itinerary and make sure, even with the change, you're still good to go. Or do we need to switch to a different flight? Included in the flight package is the airport transfer. So we know you when you arrive at the airport, we're there to greet you, take you to the first hotel. Um, about 6 months prior to departure, I would reach out to anyone that's enrolled on the trip and inquire about any sort of flight request. Do you want to go early, go later? Do you want to look at an upgrade, business class to fly to Ireland? Um, you would then submit that to our flight team and they would follow up with you directly regarding what itinerary do we have, what upgrade do we have, and what would be the costs associated with that. One thing that I really recommend is if you're not sure if you want to use our flights or not, I totally understand. You might have enough airline miles, credit card points by the time this trip comes up. I would recommend adding the flight package to your reservation to start. You can remove the flights up until the tour finalization date of March 8th for no penalty. But if you add them to your reservation, you lock in the price. There's been a lot of things on the news about fuel costs going up. Maybe flights will be impacted. I can't predict the future, but if you add it to your reservation, you lock in the price, you're included on the group flight. And if you change your mind down the road, just let us know by that March 8th deadline. And what do you need to travel? You will need a valid passport. You don't need one to get signed up for the trip, but I recommend starting the process. I wouldn't want you to forget and then later need to pay extra to expedite it. And as soon as you add your passport information, one, we have a smart system that checks your expiration dates, make sure you have the 6 months of validity that's required. And the sooner you add the information, the sooner the reminder emails will stop. We always love that.
Mhm.
We do anticipate for Ireland, by the time this trip travels, you will likely be required to fill out the authorization form. It's something that Northern Ireland, so if you go on the extension, is already requiring, the United Kingdom is requiring. We expect the European Union to require here in the near future. They keep pushing back the date, but it's a form that you fill. You take a picture of yourself. You take a picture of your passport. It's around $20. They're saying for safety, keep track of who's coming, who's going, gather some funds from tourists. But we would be communicating all of those requirements with you, making sure you have all the information. And at our pre departure meeting, make sure everyone is good to go with that and here to assist should anyone need any help. But the one for the United Kingdom was pretty simple from my experience. You get a response within 20 to 30 minutes.
Thanks, Morgan.
Yeah.
All right. Now going a quick review of if you're choosing to put a deposit down, how does that work? And, hopefully are there some ways that Go Ahead makes it easy for you? So knowing that whenever making a decision like this and everything we cover on this slide, I always want to start with Go Ahead does not do anything with financing or interest. This is just the way that we will allow our travelers to take the cost of their trip, which is an investment in themselves and their education, and chunk it up into pieces that are digestible so it fits your budget. I always make the joke that if, of course, you don't want to deal with payments, you can pay in full at enrollment. So totally optional, not utilized a whole lot. But of course, if you said, I know I'm going, I'm just going to pay and be done with it, great. But most people do want to take the cost of the tour and chunk it up. The easiest way to do that is to enroll in our auto pay, which allows you to secure your spot for as low as $99 down. You get a 30-day risk-free window to fully, of course, decide you want to go. Of course, if you cancel after that 30 days, that 99 deposit would become non-refundable. You get to select a day of the month that works for you. So if you prefer it comes out on the third Tuesday of the month, we can do that for you. And then one thing to know is it does have to be linked with a known funding source, meaning you do have to use either a checking account or a debit card. If you'd prefer not to have a monthly payment and you want to be in full control of that, respect that as well, which is why we give the manual payment option. For this trip, it would be a $300 deposit plus the cost of insurance. Insurance, we do allow you to split the cost of that if you do the auto pay, but if you're doing the manual pay, we do require that payment up front. But the good thing about the manual pay, it also allows you to tap into the 2 credit cards that Go Ahead accepts, which are Visa and MasterCard. And this would allow you to put that deposit down, secure your spot, and you could choose to make payments up until your tour finalization day, or some folks just keep that as is and then pay it off when the bill comes due closer to departure. All right, so reserve today and you'll pay. So I mentioned before, we love a discount. No matter what, if you've traveled with us before or never before, always in the first 2 weeks after we launch a tour, we want to make sure we're incentivizing individuals to put those deposits down, which is why we're giving everyone $150 off if you put your deposit down between now and the 24th. I will tell you, if you go and you book online using our website, you will see what appears to be less of a discount. This is not a bait and switch. It is because we can give our ollies a little bit more of a discount than the general public can. Know that we go back in and we'll audit your orders to make sure you have that maximum 150 discount off if it is your first time traveling. For our folks who are coming back from Italy, as a special thank you, you're currently sitting on what's called a welcome home credit of $100, and you are also a repeat traveler. So if you've ever done any EF trip with us before, whether it's this past Italy trip or you went on a different trip or you paid to put your child on an EF trip, let us know, because we like to keep our friends, we like to keep that net wide. So let us know and we can give repeat travelers an additional $100. So it's kind of 3 rings. No matter what, all people get $150 off. If you've done a trip before, but you're not coming back from Italy, you can get up to $250 off. And if you are one of those individuals coming back from Italy, you can maximize that welcome home credit and actually get up to $350 off. So no matter what, we want to make sure everybody gets a discount. Those prices you see here on the left are before discounts. So of course you'd be saving money immediately. But know that most folks who do travel on group trips, they do what's called double occupancy, meaning 2 people per room. So whether that can be a couple, whether that can be friends, it's just you and a roommate. So if you do that, that's the price you see there first. Those are with and without flights priced out of XNA. But if you prefer to fly out of different airports, we can absolutely accommodate that as well. We know that OLLI travelers, you might be in Arkansas next May. You might be visiting friends and family somewhere else. You can adjust that. And if you're doing our Go Ahead flights, you get all the benefits of those as well. But we also know not everybody wants to travel with a roommate, which is why all tours come with a finite number of single rooms. So we have 6 guaranteed single rooms for this tour. If those single rooms sell out, and with OLLI trips, they traditionally do. So I would say if you know you want to travel and not have a roommate and guarantee one of those 6 single rooms, I would not wait to put your deposit down because they are essentially guaranteed to be gone probably within those next 2 weeks. If they sell out, it doesn't mean we cannot secure more, but it's going to be on a per request basis. So we can guarantee for sure those 6. Anything beyond that, we have to work with the hotels to make sure there is space. Great thing about this trip, especially with the popularity of the last one, we wanted to make sure there were a good number of spots. So 28 spots available. with 11 months to pay the trip down. So plenty of time, of course, to build this into the budget for our friends who want to join. And last but definitely not least, I mentioned before, things that are optional but encouraged. Definitely recommend insurance of some sort, whether it's with us or with another carrier. And then, of course, if you want to add those extra days on to go to Belfast or any of those 3 optional excursions, those are there if you want them, but no pressure if you don't. All right, so things you're responsible for. We're 1 slide away from the final slide, I promise. We're almost there to questions. But as we referenced before, we will always do what's called a pre-departure meeting. So if you choose to join the group, we get together. I think we did, again, it could be a combination of virtual and in person. A good opportunity for people to meet themselves or meet the group if you've never met before hitting the road. But the purpose of that meeting is to make sure we're covering all the things that a traveler would need to know. So the things you even see on this slide, we'll cover more in depth at that meeting, but we just want to make sure they're on your radar. So of course, mentioned before, the trip is staffed with a tour director, a local guide, and a bus driver. So the days that you have those folks, of course, assuming above adequate service is provided, we recommend budgeting between $12 and $15 per day in tips. That's not per person, that's in total. The meals that aren't included, of course, budgeting for those, daily spending money for any souvenirs, extra weight or overweight luggage. Whether you do flights with Go Ahead or not, you can anticipate for an international flight like this to get 1 check bag, 1 carry-on bag, and 1 personal item. If you feel the need to bring more luggage than that, that's something you work out directly with the airline. And then, as Morgan mentioned before, plenty of time to get it, but we want to make sure our passports are valid through at least the beginning of 2028. So if you do need to start that renewal process or maybe get yours for the first time, we would recommend starting that sooner than later. All right. We are at our final slide. So everyone watching this, you have first dibs on spots. So spots are officially open today. We'll keep a look on it during Q&A. Every once in a while, we'll actually get a ping that someone jumped off the meeting and called to secure their spot. But point being is that we will also send out communication with the directions on how to enroll. Easiest way is to call our team. So Morgan and I work with a group of individuals called reservation consultants. Their whole job is to walk through the enrollment process with you one-on-one. So if there's a question that's not answered in this meeting or you forgot and then you remember to ask it later, we see in the OLLI world, the majority of travelers do book over the phone. So you can call in that 800 number you see there. The only thing you need to reference is the trip. So if you just say, I'm calling about the 2027 OLLI Arkansas trip to Ireland. If they ask who your coordinator is, it's just Josh Rainey. But we'll also share the trip website if you prefer to book online. And last but definitely not least, if you still want to utilize that call option, but you've got maybe a specific window that you have available to you, we'll actually share another link that will allow you to pick a time for one of our team members to call you if that's more convenient. And last but definitely not least, we just would love everyone to put their deposit down before the 24th, just so they can maximize that discount. If you don't do it till after the 24th, there are traditionally monthly discounts that will be applied to our trips, but just know that we do not anticipate them being 150 or above. So this will be the maximum discount you can receive, and we'd love you to get it if we can. All right, with that, Josh, I don't know if any other thoughts or anything you want to share before we get into questions.
No, thank you guys for all that. I was just going to say, yeah, I think I am the coordinator and the representative here at OLLI, and Sandra's on the call too, so she's aware of everything that's going on. But in terms of when it comes down to like really doing anything, EF is going to be your go-to folks, and so we are happy to make that connection or direct you in the right way. But I was just going to say, feel free to reach out directly to them. Use the website. I think all of you on here should have access to the website. If not, then we'll send that link out. Um, but yeah, that's it. I think it's a really great opportunity. The Italy trip was really great. It was the first time we worked with a travel company. EF Go Ahead did a wonderful job from the start of working with Josh and Morgan just to get approved to do it all the way up to when we got home on our last flight home. And so it's a really good thing. It's a great opportunity for OLLI. You do have to be an OLLI member, and so you may be aware that at the end of this month, your OLLI membership expires. If you've already booked, then we'll be on the horn pretty quickly after July 1 to make sure you renew. But if not, please renew after July 1 if you're planning on going, because it is an OLLI member exclusive event. And so that's all I got. I'm really excited and appreciate everybody joining us. And if you have questions, ask Josh and Morgan now. Now's the time to do it.
Thanks, Josh. Yeah, I can start. There was a couple questions in the chat in case people didn't see it. I want to make sure they are heard by everyone in the audience and also potentially watching the recording. We got asked, would Kylemore Abbey be an option during the tour? We do have some tours that go to Kylemore Abbey. With this one, because of the free day in when we were in Galway, we opted for the Aran Island adventure. But that is a good example of why, if you have something unique you want to do that the tour doesn't offer, look at a day like that. That's why we have those free days built in. So if you build that free day in and you really want to go to Kylemore Abbey, I would actually recommend not opting for Aran Islands and then using that free afternoon. And your tour director can absolutely help you with that if you don't already have something pre-booked that you want to set up before you depart. And then someone also asked, when do you usually sell out? Morgan mentioned in the chat, it's impossible to predict. We know that there is strong demand for this trip, but I guess you all will help tell us as the information goes out and those bookings come in. We see the strongest push, of course, usually in that first 2-week window because of that extra incentives with the discounts. But of course, I think it's one to check in. I usually will give Josh an update. So if we're seeing really high demand, I'll have him send out another email before that 2-week window is up to kind of give people an update on spots because we don't want anyone to miss out. But I would say if you want to go, I recommend just doing the deposit with the 30-day risk-free window because that kind of gives you you can hedge your bet a little bit on that one and know that your spot is secure. And then do you charge a fee to use a credit card? Absolutely not. No, like I said, no interest, no credit card fees, no financing. It is just, we do not pass that cost on to the customer.
Good.
All right. If anybody else has questions, I heard some people might have come off mute. We're happy to talk about it now.
Yeah. This is Ken Allen. Man, you guys have done a good job in explaining everything. Thank you. One thing, just to be sure I'm hearing you, we sign up for 2 of us, double occupancy, going to Belfast, and we sign up for the extra insurance, the top level insurance. Down the road, and say we're paying for that, and say we've paid for it, and something comes up and we can't go, what sort of refund do we get?
Yeah. So there is going to always be a cancellation cost.
Sure.
Up until the tour finalization date, it's the deposit. When we start to get closer to the trip, the brackets, which we have those brackets, it's not secret information. The brackets, the cancellation cost is going to go up as we get closer, all the way up until 7 days before the trip. The cancellation cost would be 100% of the trip. Things happen within 7 days before leaving to the trip. It's heartbreaking because people want to go. It's double heartbreaking if they have nothing then and they just put a big investment into this trip. With the insurance,
There you go.
if you're canceling because of an accident, sickness, someone you're a caretaker for, all things that fall under the insurance, you would submit to get all of those funds back to your form or to you in the form of the money. If you're canceling just because you decide you don't want to go or your pet becomes ill, that isn't covered under insurance, but that's where that any reason protection is helpful. In those cases, you would get all of those funds, whatever the cancellation cost is, more if it's very close to the trip, in a voucher to use on any of our other trips that we offer. So it's really going to depend on why you're canceling and when you're canceling to be able to say the exact cancellation amount.
Gotcha. So
I just have a comment about cancellation because I had to cancel Italy. And EF held my $749, the $300 deposit, and the $449 for insurance, and rescheduled me for Italy in 2028 as a holding place because I didn't know what I would want to do. So I have been able to transfer that into the Ireland booking. So I've
Oh,
already booked.
good. Yay. We're glad I saw your name on. Yes, we are very flexible in moving the insurance and the deposit to a different trip should that's an option as well.
I would say that that's a great, and Julie, thanks you for sharing that story because, and kudos to Josh as well, because, well, of course, there's no guarantee the OLLI is going to continue traveling. But for me and Morgan, that's another incentive for us to kind of course, always have one. And we've got some OLLIs that offer 2-3 trips a year where, well, we never want anyone to cancel, but we want to maximize those options for folks. So if, again, God forbid something happened, it's nice to know that, well, it's not exactly how we planned it, but at least we've got some choices. And let's look at this other location. Let's look at this other trip where in the end, like I said, with Julie's example, like, hey, I moved it over. I was able to capture that. And it's even pretty rare where the fact that we'll even move over the insurance cost, which is great. So again, I never want anyone to cancel, but I sure as heck like hearing that we give people options.
Right. One more quick one. What part of the plane do the tickets cover at this point?
I mean, it's it's hard to say exactly. I mean, it's economy. It's where it includes your checked luggage, and it's not like basic economy that a lot of airlines are now selling for a cheaper cost, but it is economy. Some people choose on the airline's website to do something like Comfort Plus or pay a little extra to have a little more leg room. That you would do through the airline closer to departure. And then other people choose to upgrade through us further in advance before the trip, 6 months, premium economy, business. Those are much more expensive than the slight upgrades, though.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You're welcome. Great questions.
Doug, you got a question?
Gang, I've got a question. If I'm definitely going on this trip, by the way, and thank you so much, Morgan and Josh, for J&J for offering this. It's been on my bucket list for a long time. I will call today to put down the $99. My question is, does that I'd like to go on the single route in terms of reserving one of those 6 spots. Does the $99 down today, does that reserve one of those single spots?
Yes, it does. Great to see you again, Doug. And kudos to Doug because Doug was one of the original folks who was in our first meeting because Italy was supposed to travel actually this past fall, but on no fault of anyone here, there was just a little delay with the agreement with the university being built. So again, I know I reference you often, but you stuck out as such an enthusiastic traveler, so I appreciate it. But yes, no, anytime, regardless of any extra insurances, anything else you're paying that might make your order more, the 99 will lock in whether it's a double room or a single room. So you do not have to pay anything extra today. It's just that cost of the single supplement will be included in your order, which of course, when you do the 99 is just distributed over, those 11 months of payments.
I understand. Okay, great. And then secondly, unfortunately, I lost connection for about 10 minutes there. I had a computer glitch. And we may have already mentioned this. The Italy trip, utterly fantastic. I really loved it. So did my waistline.
Love that.
Yeah, absolutely. Italian food is the best. One concern I did have, which I know some other folks had too, and that you may have expressed that during that 10-minute glitch that I had, but it was the pacing of the trip. And we were concerned that this trip I from looking at the itinerary, I think you've already built all that in, is just a slower pace because we are an older group, and you've given us more options, for time off. And kudos to you for that. But I just wanted to express that that would be really nice to
That
take that into consideration. Yeah,
Yes, absolutely. When all of us sat down to plan out where our next adventure was going to be, Josh advocated for the group. He made sure that that was kind of first topic of mine, which is why both, if you look at the actual pace of the tour, this is a moderate tour compared to a high pace tour. So that is like in the daily, like pacing has been accommodated. So that's checkbox one. Secondly, we picked one that has more of those bigger free days to opt into, just kind of like, I just call it like time to recharge the battery. So absolutely, and that's a kudos to Josh. That was basically his first requirement when looking at new locations, was he heard the group loud and clear, and that was absolutely at the forefront of us picking this trip.
great. Well, thank you both for listening, to that concern. And thanks again for putting this together because I'm really excited about it and really, as the official unofficial photographer, will definitely be photographing this. And as a matter of fact, I'll tell you what, I'll when I call in, I want to get a website so I can send you the link to the pictures I took in
Oh,
Italy.
I will pull your, I've got it on file. I'll pull your email directly and send you an email, Doug, and I'd love to see that.
That'd be great. That'd be great. Good.
Thanks so
Well,
much.
thanks again for everything you guys are doing. We appreciate it. Yeah.
Real quick, as as we get through the fall, or as we get into the fall, our program development team and Sandra and I have talked about trying to work um, to develop some classes related to this trip or programs related to this trip that we could offer to folks who have signed up to go. And so whether that's something on our any culture of Ireland or a specific spot we're going to, we've got the itinerary and we're going to try to build in some programs into our spring schedule for that. So that's kind of an added bonus too, that you'd be able to participate in some things like that as well.
Great. Good
And
idea.
Josh, a message for you that I'm happy to do offline is, we've got, Ireland was a very popular destination these last 2 years with the 25 plus ollies that Morgan and I are lucky enough to work with, where we've got a group who, I want to say they might be just returning now, who did one from the Ollie at Drake. And they had two professors go on their tour and they did a little bit of free work that was based on Irish literature and like James Joyce and things like that. So I'm happy to connect with them and
Okay,
share any resources that might be helpful for your future classes.
great. Thank you.
Of course. Any other questions?
Here's just a quick one, just flashed through my mind. Weather-wise, any any uh, any thoughts on that, on temperatures? Are we like primarily in the 60s during the day?
I went a little earlier than y'all are going to go. So I was there in early April and it was 50s and 60s. I think we picked these dates. We were originally going to target April again, but then I think for the Ollie schedule, it made sense to push it. I think it's just going to be even more comfortable. I think it's going to be, I mean, it might get some low 70s on a warmer day, but I would not anticipate it. It's not you hear some of these now in Europe, these heat waves, but I don't anticipate any of that. We will fill the group in, of course, in that pre-departure meeting closer to right before we leave if we're seeing any other trends of weather. But I would think very comfortable. I think, again, people want to see the green hills of Ireland. You're going in the prime time to see that. Be prepared, Doug, if you've got some fast lenses for the moving animals. You're going to see more sheep than you can imagine when you're there. But
Nice.
again, I don't want to ruin all the surprises.
Great. Thank you.
All right. Well, I think if
That
we
it?
don't have any other questions, I'll get after we close this meeting, I'm going to communicate back to Josh and I'll give him the template to share. But if anyone's seeing on the chat, in addition to, of course, the number, if you just want to call in, that's probably the easiest way. But we did share in there the two links for either requesting a time for someone to call you, or earlier, if you scroll up a little bit, that is the direct link to our personalized page. So you are just looking for the one that talks about Ireland, Ollie, Arkansas 2027.
Very
Sounds
good.
All right.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
everybody.
Bye, everyone.
Hey,
Have a good
thanks
Bye-bye.
day.
everyone. Let us know if you have questions. Appreciate it, guys.
Thanks, Josh.
Bye.
Anytime, Doug.
Bye.
You guys have a great